Okay, this is a kind of follow-up to the previous lesson where I talked about leading and following limbs. And this theory, this kind of concept I got from trying to learn to draw. There's a book called Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain, which is a really interesting book, and it got me a little way to being able to draw. Not very far, I gave up pretty quickly. But one of the exercises in there, which apparently is a common thing with artists, is to draw the spaces. So if you wanted to draw this drum kit, for example, rather than focusing on, okay, there's a circle for the head and there's a circle for that head, and you kind of know what the drums look like, and you don't really pay attention to the exact shape of the circle or the fact that there are extra things going on. So the idea is to pull away from the known and the things that you have models for and look towards the more abstract stuff, which is the spaces. So instead of trying to draw these toms, for example, you would try and draw this space that's between the splash and the toms and the cymbal, which is just a weird shape, and the spaces aren't going to look like anything that you recognize, and so you have to focus more on them and pay more attention to the detail, and you basically draw the spaces, and then the foreground objects end up standing out. So that made me think about these right hand lead patterns that I would play, filling in the gaps with the left hand. So the left hand is playing the spaces essentially. So I thought it might be cool to accent the spaces while still focusing on the melody with the right hand. So to make this clear, we're going to pick melodies that we already know exist with the right hand. So let's take a cascara rhythm. So if you don't know what a cascara is, it's from Latin American music, and the rhythm is like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. Da 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 da. You want to get used to playing that with your right hand on a hi-hat or on a rim or something, and get familiar with that before you move into this. You could pick any other rhythm that you know, but we want something that's more interesting than just straight eighth notes or something too repetitive. Okay, so the concept is this: rather than playing the cascara on the tom and filling with the snare drum, I'm going to play the cascara as ghost notes on the snare drum and fill in with accents on the tom. Okay, so if you didn't know I was playing a cascara, you would just hear this. You know what, this is harder than I think. It's very, very difficult to focus on these quiet notes while these loud notes are coming out. So the audience isn't going to know what you're doing at all and might just think you're playing some weird stuff on here that sounds interesting and out of the ordinary, whereas you're supposed to be thinking of the right hand part. But it's very hard. So that just kind of highlights the fact that when I'm playing a cascara the normal way around and filling in with the left hand, I don't know what the left hand is doing. I couldn't play the left hand part by itself unless I'd specifically sat down and worked it out. So this is similar to like a paradiddle. If you play a paradiddle, I've played paradiddles that way and focused on the fact that the right hand is going ding, 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 ding. So that's one way of thinking of a paradiddle, which is a right hand lead pattern with a left hand gap, okay? Or you can think of it as a right hand lead pattern for half of the paradiddle and then a left hand lead pattern for the other half of the paradiddle, which would sound like this. So that was a paradiddle again, but just leading with the right hand and accenting that, and then leading with the left hand and accenting that. With all of those things, I've never really paid that much attention to the left hand part, which is just an invert, which is the same as the right hand part, but displaced by half a paradiddle. Okay, so let me play a paradiddle and accent just the left-hand part. So with all rudiments, you can apply this concept of pulling it apart and focusing on what the right-hand part and what the left-hand part is, and then playing and accenting those parts. So you're really focusing on placing the left hand rather than it filling in gaps of the right-hand part. And playing around, you can just play the paradiddle between the tom and the snare and accent the right hand and then gradually bring them so they're the same and then switch it so you're accenting the left hand. And your focus can always be on the right hand, whether it's loud or equal or quiet, or it could always be on the left hand, whether it's quiet or same volume or loud. It's just this concept of looking at the same thing from, it's going to get a bit Ricky Gervais, you're looking at the same thing, right, which is this mesh of patterns. You're either focusing on this side of it, or you're focusing on this side of it, or you're trying to focus evenly on the two. And focusing evenly on the two tends to be half of it on one side and then half of it on the other side. There was another application I had of this. I was at a gig the other day, and it was a hired kit, and there was a DW double pedal on the bass drum, and I was hanging around waiting for the rest of the guys to sound check and the crew to set their stuff up, and I was trying to play double paradiddles with my feet, but very, very quietly, so the beaters were barely touching the head, okay? And I was finding it quite tricky to get the control of this thing, so I'll demonstrate with my hands because I don't have the foot cam. I was doing this. And while I'm doing this, and I'm focusing on the whole pattern together, the double just comes out of nowhere. I'm going right, left, double, right, double, right, left, double. So there's no time to prepare for that double, and I'm not really focusing on how that fits in with the rest of what my foot is doing. What's important to get smooth motions when you're playing things is to know where doubles and accents and quiet strokes are. Again, in some of the other masterclass videos, you'll see me talking about full strokes and downstrokes and taps and upstrokes and things. They're useful tools to allow you to play accents and ghost notes smoothly, okay? So, for example, if you want to play two loud notes in a row, it doesn't make sense to play into the drum and stop down here and then lift up and play into the drum again. It makes more sense to play a full stroke where you hit it and come back out, and then you're ready to play another accented stroke. It's much more energy efficient, and you'll be able to get that up to a much faster speed. So with the bass drums, I find that if I just focused on the right half of the pattern, just didn't play the left foot at all, I could then see that the right foot wanted to go. And it was much easier to play that double in that setting when I knew where it was coming and I knew what was coming after it than it was when I was thinking of all of the notes together. But once I'd focused on what the right hand part of the pattern was, I could play the whole thing and focus on the right foot and make it smoother. But then you've got to do the same with the left foot. So take the right foot out, and the left foot part is 1, 2, 3. So I kind of know with this, I know with the left hand part or the left foot part that the double doesn't come till right at the end. So I can kind of prepare myself for that. So I know where the right foot double is, it's in the middle of the groove, and I can think about the right foot part up until there, and then I can get ready for that left foot double. Really sort of simple seeming things, but you know, it was quite a surprise to me at how much easier it made it to play that when I'd broken it down and really thought about the movements and the motions and what was going on. So that's just some more food for thought. I hope you're enjoying these lessons. If you are watching this on the VIP section of the website, you should be able to leave comments below. So feel free to leave comments about this if you find it useful, and suggestions for other things that you might like to see in this section. So